What's up, guys? So today I'm gonna go through what's been going on in the OCG, give you guys a breakdown, and everything that I'm gonna go through is gonna be on this Road of the King article. Everything about the OCG. If you guys want to read through it, I'm just gonna recap. Guys, I know that right now, currently, everybody's busy with the TCG and with the new ban list. Everybody's testing out new decks, but you guys should always keep in mind what's going on in the OCG. It lets us see into the future and gives us ideas of what's about to happen. But let's get right into it. What's going on in the OCG? So the breakdown right now, very different from what we're having to deal with. There is absolutely no spirals. Like in the TCG, spirals is completely dominating, but that's also because so many of these decks are hit, and they also have Eternity Code and a few other different cards like the Dragoon card. But Orcus is definitively the best deck, 20%. And they have from Eternity Code the new Orcus Girsu, so that's why it's seeing so much play there. There's even different variants of Orcus. Like look here, you could fit the Dragoon card even in Orcus right now. Currently, in the OCG, the Dragoons and Orcus Girsu is completely taking over and warping the format. But I think the format there is still very diverse. Look at this Altergeist right behind it. We're also seeing Altergeist a little because we just also have the Nine Solemns back, and it's just one of those decks that really haven't been hit too hard. People think the Multi-Faker 2-1 is a big hit, but it's not. It still sees play. The real big cards from Altergeist or Marionetter and Mollusk. So those are the good cards. You just need to search out the faker. But yeah, Ultrageist is also seeing a lot of play. The Dragoon deck, there's probably Dragoon decks of every Dragoon variants of all these decks here. Spirals all the way over here, 5%. It still sees play there. It's just not as dominating because there's other decks that can compete with it. But I just want to go through a few of the deck lists that are on this article and tell you guys what's new, what's happening there. So with Orcus, this is a very standard Orcus deck. We even played almost similar to this, except for the fact that our Harp Horror is banned now and they have Girsu. So their Harp Horror is at 2, and that's one of the reasons why Orcus is so strong there. I talked about this many times in the past. If Harp Horror stayed at 1 or 2 in the TCG, it probably would have been stronger than Spiral. That's how strong of a card Harp Horror really is. But right now, they have Girsu, Harp Horror, and everything else. They're even main decking the Super Poly to deal with the Dragoons. An interesting thing about this specific list that the article goes over is they are playing Scrap Recycler, and they're playing over here Almirage. What the Almirage does is it lets you, if your Scrap Recycler gets stopped, you can make Almirage and still be able to revive it back with Monster Reborn. It's a little silly, it's a little out there, but it's one of the things that they're trying to do. It's very standard. Look at this. Call by the Grave and Designated. Your plays are going to go through. This deck just looks so strong. I don't think I need to go over it too much. We've seen this in the TCG for a long time. And when we get Eternity Code in a few months, I believe this deck will start being a contender again for the best deck of the format. But currently, I do think it's a rogue deck, roguish tier 2 deck in the TCG. So another deck, Altergeist. This is seeing so much play in the OCG. It's even seeing play in the TCG, but they have a new toy, the card that lets you synchro summon. I do not know when we will be getting it, but this card lets you synchro summon with cards from the field and hand, including itself. And they have another interesting card called Link Cross, and Link Cross just lets you climb into more cards. An interesting thing that they're also doing is they're playing Access Code Talker. I talked about it last time I did a OCG metagame breakdown right here. Sky Trigger was playing it because it lets you get around a lot of big monsters. It comes out as a huge beater, and it lets you pop cards depending on different attributes of your Link monster. So you see fire, dark, light. So you'll be able to pop monsters. And in the OCG currently, the way that the Altergeist deck is being played, you set up turn 1 with your Hextia, with your Link Cross, and then if they do not break that field, they can Altergeist in the OCG can literally kill you by making Access Code Talker with 5300 attack and just attacking over it. That's very different from what the TCG does with Altergeist. In the OCG, Altergeist has a way to just kill. It's essentially their own Boros sword. So yeah, very interesting, very good deck. I think this deck will see a lot of play in the TCG as well. It's That multi-faker being at 1, I do not think is a big deal. Marionetter, Moloseek, these cards are freaking insane. The Marionetter is one of the best normal summons I've ever seen in my life. It's a solemn strike on normal summon, and it can revive other Ultrageist monsters. So yeah, look out for this deck. Let's just go through the side deck real quick. Almost in every deck, you'll see kaijus and outs to the dragoons. I've talked about the dragoons. It's untargetable, undestroyable in main phase. So you have to have kaijus or up here like super poly. But interesting thing, Lancia is actually coming back. Right now in the TCG, Lancia is nowhere to be seen because Orcus is not strong at all. But Lancia is seeing play all over again. Look, Lancia at 3 here, Lancia at 2 here, because the deck 2 beat is Orcus, and you have to look out for it. Lancia was the card that cripples Orcus. If you do not have Call by the Grave or Designator in their circumstance, you cannot beat Lancia. It's very hard to play through a Lancia when you are playing Orcus. Another interesting thing, look up here. They're playing Nibiru, one copy of Nibiru here. Nibiru is really good also against Orcus because this card, the Girsu counts as a summon, and then you put a token on the opponent's side of the field and your side of the field, so that's 3 summons. So you rack up summons very quick before you get to your main plays. So yeah, Nibiru is gonna start seeing play in the OCG again. Maybe that'll happen with us too. I do not think Nibiru is that good versus Spiral currently, but if we're headed in this direction where Orcus is going to make a comeback because of Girsu, we might see Nibiru again, and Lancia, of course. I want to go through one last deck that's like terrorizing the OCG. This is not the only type of list that they're playing. You could put Dragoons in any type of deck because of the Predaplant monster. But there's a bunch of pure Dragoon decks that are going around. Essentially, what you are doing in these decks are turboing out this Link monster, paying 2,000, sending these fusion spells to the grave, one of them, to copy it and summon your Dragoons by sending these to the graveyard. It sounds very bricky, I know, like you are playing vanilla monsters, but trust me, it's just like Mermaid again. If you can facilitate just summoning a monster that's a win condition, then why wouldn't you do it? That's exactly what they are doing. Dragoons, I believe everybody knows, is going to warp the format. So guys, get ready for that. Look at this. This deck specifically is playing this the Time Lord. What is this Time Lord called? Let me see. It's called Sandion the Time Lord. But it's just a way to run over Dragoons because Dragoons will not be able to pop or negate it because it's considered a normal summon. So very interesting choices here. Lightning Storm, of course. But yeah, this Dragoon, all these different types of Dragoon deck. Look at this. They have this card unbanned in the OCG. So they're just summoning Dragoons and preventing special summons. So that's the main reason why this card is here, because it's a normal summon that can out the Dragoons. But yeah, so many decks just splashing in the Dragoons engine, completely changing the format in the OCG. It's a completely different game there, but I just want to show off all these different decks because I want to give you guys ideas and a glimpse into the future, because guess what? This future that we will be going into does not involve a 50% Spiral deck completely taking over the pie chart. Spiral will be strong, but there's a few other decks that are also going to compete. I know Orcus is a little weird there because they have the Harp Horror, but I think Orcus is still good when the Girsu does come out. Guys, be on the lookout for everything. Let me know if I missed anything in what's going on in the OC. There's a lot of different things going on. Look at all these different decks that just see tops there. But this is the last week that I'll be covering, the last week of January that I'll be covering the OCG metagame. And I think it's a good idea going forward that everybody keeps in mind what's going on in the OCG. You can get very different ideas, different perspectives on these deck lists, and just pick out ideas. And I think that's what's important. I know the game is completely different, TCG to OCG. They have Maxi and all these different things, but that doesn't mean you can't learn from it. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about what's going on in the OCG. Peace.